Ray, you made a decision in 1994 to change the way you did business. What prompted that change?
Well, it was really a basic decision, is the way I looked at it, and we had to make a decision how we were going to compete effectively against many competitors. You stop and think about it, the bigger banks could out-product, out-resource, out-computer us.
Yep.
And products are a commodity in banking.
That's right.
So how do we compete effectively? And for us, it really was a process of elimination that allowed us to really focus on one simple discovery, if you will, and that is the delivery of those products. And therefore, we started the store concept.
Yep.
I didn't understand why going into a bank couldn't be fun, couldn't be more interesting, you didn't have to feel intimidated. So that's where it started.
Great. And it's interesting because how long do people stay in your stores now, as opposed to get in, get out? It's not you've taken it past doing a task, right, or running an errand.
Yeah, I think so. My attitude is, I've said this for years, that most people, when you ask them what do you do when you go to the bank branch, is you go to cash a check and make a deposit, and you're gone. What we're trying to do in our organization is to get people to say, I'm going to go to the bank store and browse, shop, and by the way, while I'm there, I might cash a check or make a deposit. And that's a big difference.
Yes.
That's a significant difference. But the stores are designed for any type of customer. We have customers that like to come in and spend hours, reading the paper, watching the latest news, talking with their financial consultants, whatever they want to do. And then we have people that want to get in and get out.
Yep.
So we have to make it, we really added, it was really interesting. In 1994, 95, we first started our first concept store. It really was a lot about art and not so much about science.
Oh, interesting, right.
So when we migrated, as the store evolved, we added a little bit more science to it, and that helped us. If you think about just banks, and if the traditional bank, when they advertise for to hire people, they advertise in the bank section.
That's right.
And so there's very few. Either if you have to have a banking background or some sort of cashier to qualify in most cases. Well, and that's very limiting.
Yes. Well, and the skill set's different.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So for us, if you're working in a store, and we sat down to describe what type of person do you want there? Well, we want a person who knows how to greet people, is used to working on their feet, knows their product line, can sell those products and services. And if you really cut to the chase, you're talking about the people that work in the retail establishments.
Yes, that's right.
Well, when we start advertising for our people, we don't advertise in the bank section, we advertise in the retail section, which means we get hundreds of more applicants and people that are very well qualified that want to work in a very cool environment that they have a chance to make a difference. I don't really think it has a whole bunch to do with the design of the stores. I think the design of anybody can do that. Get a good architect. You can throw the money at it. You can build a fancy-looking store. What's important to me and to our people is what goes on inside the store. And I can tell you that over the years, we started this back in 1994, 95, and over the years we have established or created a very unique culture for our industry. And it's that culture, which I always say is the greatest asset we own or possess, if you will, above everything else. And yet, I also say in the same breath, and I've said this many times, that even though it's the greatest asset we have, it is also the area where we have the greatest amount of risk. Because companies get big. Yes. Some successful ones. And as they get big, unfortunately, and way too many times, culture is lost along the way. Bureaucracy takes over and you have nothing. You become another, for us, it means we would become a bank. I do not like bureaucracy. The big bank concepts, I'm always looking for, if someone says this is a great way of doing it because some bigger bank did it, I immediately am suspect. So I'll tell you something, the culture is about empowering people. It's empowering people that they can make decisions, whatever decision they need to make when it comes to a customer. In other words, don't pick up the phone and ask somebody. Deal with it. And we give our people the authority to make those kinds of decisions. The culture, though, also is about, some people think this is a contradiction, and I don't. I think it goes very naturally. Tough love. We hold our people accountable. We give them goals. We incent them, but we hold them accountable. And if we don't right now, I can tell you stories where for some reason maybe I didn't follow up on something that I should have. I'll get a call from the associate saying, how come you didn't come check me out?
Good for you.
And that's pretty good. No matter what, there's going to be rules and
Yes.
regulations that we have to deal with in dealing with customers or the way we do our business, which
Correct.
makes it difficult.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, I'll go back. I think it centers around the empowerment issue. If you give people stop and think of it this way. If you work for a company and you're only allowed to do two things over and over and over again, how motivated are you to come in? How motivated are you to deal with customers?
That's right.
And so I always felt that, why do that? I mean, let them do, certainly there are foul lines, but let them do anything they want to within
That's
those
right.
foul lines. Use their creativity. For us, I always tell people, working for this company, it is fun. It is, it's exciting. It's changing every day. However, you have to be good
Yes.
to work here. And I think that natural tension, if you will, is so positive. It's not only positive for the work environment, but it's very positive for our customers, because they're talking with people who make decisions. And it's really interesting. Over the years, people would come in and they'd have a problem, and someone would say, well, I'll take care of that for you right now. And they'd say, well, don't you have to call somebody?
Right.
No, I can do it right now.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's
It
great.
knocks people off their feet.
But that's the biggest thing for customers is, I've had so many of our customers walk into one of our stores, immediately turn around, walk out, look up at the sign, make sure it's really a bank,
Oh, really a bank.
and then come back in. And then you have to study other companies. I always tell, when I speak in our industry, I talk to or mention to my audience that don't look for ideas within the industry.
Yes.
Look for ideas outside of your industry. In other words, find a company that's beating their competition in a different industry and find out what that strategy or strategies, whatever they are, and how do you employ them? How do you change it, repaint it, but how could you employ them in your industry? And if you do that, we know your competition's not thinking about it. They're thinking about what the guy's doing down the street. You can successfully differentiate yourself. You can organically grow this organization, and I think that's what it's all about. The clarity, I like that word. I would say this, and it would be interesting when you talk to staff, you see if they'll say the same thing. Yeah, check it out. Because we've built successful in building this culture, and the culture comes a lot with discipline and tough love, even though there's all the good stuff that comes with it. It makes it easier for me and other executives to even speak frank and honestly with the people. If there's an issue with this company, like I talk to them every 30 or 90 days, I talk to everybody in the company. And when I tell them is this, if there's something for you to worry about, I'll be the first guy to tell you. And right now there's nothing to worry about.
Isn't that great?
And yeah, and at the same time I'll tell them, I remember it was a year or so ago, I decided that we were going to, because of the mess, what was going on with the economy, that we were going to freeze salary increases for 6 months. And I came right out and told everybody, this is what we're going to do, and I expect you to get behind this, and away we go. And it was amazing to me. I bet I received, and I'm not exaggerating, 65, 75 emails from people on our staff saying, fantastic, we understand, this is the right thing to do. It's because of the clarity. It's because of the culture. It's because people know what's going on in this company. We tell them.
Well, and people can live in that. You give them an ability of what the end game is, what the goal line is, and what to achieve towards.
Greatest fear we have is the fear of the unknown.
That's
it's
exactly
the bump in the
right.
middle of the night.
Well,
if you tell me what's going on, even though it's bad, but you tell me how it impacts me, and maybe it's not good news, I can deal with that.
Well, and that connects right back to believe. If you believe the people are honest enough and able to take it, then it's all self-fulfilling, and that's what creates this great
And I tell you,
energy.
and our staff at this company, they never cease to amaze me. I never take them for granted, ever. In fact, I don't take much for granted, but I do not take the people for granted. But we'll have difficult things that we've got to talk about, and the responses I get are amazing. I just recently had a conversation with the staff, all 2,000 of them, and said, I'm a little concerned about our culture. I mean, we're good, it's going good, but I wonder if we're losing our edge. I'd like for you guys to have your next motivational moment, to kick it around, tell me, and think about it. And again, the emails are still coming in where the commitment and the excellence and the edge is still there. And they're not afraid to tell me that it is. That Ray, you're off base. We're good. We're doing great here. I like to see that.
Well, what you've said is really important because they own it. You began it, but they own it.
That's
it's
right.
a legacy that they now own. I started at Land's End, and that was what it was for us. Gary Comer started it, but it was our job to keep it going. And
well, one person can't do it.
No.
If you don't have other people to pick up the banner and wave it,
that's right.
You're wasting your time. We've been a growth company ever since I got here. I mean, it's my attitude is, you build it or you kill it in business. I mean, really, those are your two strategies. If you can't stay the same. You know, I write often about that. The hardest thing in business is to stay the same. Change is going to happen, whether you like it or not. So you've got to make a decision. Do you swim to the edge of the pool and get out, or do you stop treading water and sink to the bottom? But you can't stay the same. It's so much easier to get better, or in fact to get worse, than to stay the same. So I think from our particular point of view, from the financial side, since we've been growth oriented, we've been successful in creating this culture. And with the culture, I can tell you that we've also been very acquisitive over the last, well, not the last 2 years, but certainly 5 or 6 years before that. And the reason we've been successful with our acquisitions is because of the culture. It's really interesting. A lot of people will say, you know, the culture's a problem because it's unique, it's a little different than everybody else's, and maybe it's going to be a culture clash between the companies coming together. And I can tell you unequivocally that's not the case. Our culture is not insular. So in other words, you don't have to grow up within it to be successful. You can come from the outside and be just fine. It's not threatening. It's empowering.
Well, and we aspire to live inside of the culture that you've created.
I think so.
It's like a warm hug in a way. I mean, it sounds a little silly, but
no,
it really is how it feels.
It's a warm hug with an uncle or a grandfather that says, do it right.
Holding you accountable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.